Game 3, who was the one chirping, putting his hands to his ear, egging on the crowd, taunting the Toronto Raptors, being unapologetic about it, talking, chirping, talking. We all love Embiid in terms of his talent. We know this. But I will remind you, Max Kellerman and Jay Williams, that's 9 hours before the game. 9 hours. I mean, I want to hear, listen, you mean you couldn't sleep all night? You could have went to the arena and got 5 hours sleep. I mean, cause it's 9 hours. It's not like it's an hour before the game. You got 9 hours. You know what 9 hours
also,
means?
it's not like he has a lack of resources. My man has millions of dollars. You have the resources to get everything you need done.
He missed three clutch free throws. He did a lot of bad stuff.
Hey, Max, I could have told him to go to. I could have told him, you know what? Take some Malox or something. Get one of them eye covers from Brookstone. You know what I'm saying? Go to the arena. Get the cushion. Get the air plugged. You got 9 hours.
Yeah.
9 hours, and you can't figure. You really gonna come out there and say 9 hours before? You don't know if you're gonna be ready for a game.
Let me add this to the equation for you too, because this was very telling to me. And I heard Woj say on our first show that he thought, by Brett Brown saying that Embiid was sick, that he was kind of covering for him. I looked at it differently. When I saw Brett Brown go on the post-game conference,
he was throwing him under the bus.
Call him out.
1,000%.
The night before, with Kawhi on the floor, he was asked, do you think you had the best player on the floor? And Coach said yes. And the very next day, he's like, oh, this dude. I'm not arguing against that right now. What I'm saying is this. There were 4 All-Stars.
That's your best player, though. He sets the tone for everything that you do.
But as a result of your best player, you're 2-2 right now. Your 2 best players have been Embiid and Butler, right? The 2 guys who haven't been there, let's not say Embiid has never shown up, but the 2 guys who haven't shown up are Simmons and Tobias Harris.
I've been saying this about Ben Simmons for the longest time. I didn't think he was the answer for Philadelphia. I understand he's going to probably get max money, but I don't see him as a franchise-like player. I've been saying that for a
let me say this.
But we all know that he can't shoot.
Hold on, Molly.
You know that.
Very young.
And by the way, the pace of the game is slow. It's a half-court pace game. That is not what Ben Simmons is great at.
Which is why Brett Brown made that adjustment. The fact of the matter is that, listen, we all know Ben Simmons ain't shooting in the regular season games. He ain't going to shoot in the postseason games.
Right.
So it's not about him. It's about what our expectations were with Joel Embiid. And my last point is this. Jay, you brought up Brett Brown in terms of what he was saying and how he was throwing him under the bus. Let's be clear. Where does Brett Brown come from? What family tree does he come from? A guy like Greg Popovich, who is he will tell you to your face if he's got a problem with you. Brett Brown is a bit more diplomatic with it, but they've learned from the best.
Let me ask you something,
Didn't
guys.
escape me.
Let me ask you something, guys. You see a guy like Jimmy Butler, right? Jimmy Butler has done more to rehab his reputation than anyone in these playoffs because he went from a scrappy guy everyone loved to a defensive stopper, 6-man type, to a 20-point-a-game scorer, to a star, to maybe almost a superstar. And then in Minnesota, it was like, damn, he got kind of run out of Chicago. He caused a problem. He's causing a problem in Minnesota. But his defenders always said, look, he has a problem in Minnesota because they gave Wiggins his money. And he looks at Karl Anthony Towns and says, hey, big fella, why don't you want it like I want it? If you did, you'd be better, right? He gets to Philly, and you can see that now. It's coming out in him. And who does he seem to get along with? Who does he have that relationship with on the team? It shows up on the court. It's Embiid, right? That's like a litmus test.
That doesn't absolve
That's not right, Max. He's not like Steph with KD. He can have a night off because Kevin Durant's going to take
Max,
off.
that's slick. Listen, Jimmy Butler knows what kind of game Embiid hearts and what kind of heart he has. But that doesn't have anything to do with what we've seen in 3 to 4 games of this series.
And by the way,
I'm going to remind you again, that's not the point. The point is 9 hours. 9 hours.
I'm not arguing
before
that,
the
man.
game.
You made that very clear.
Texting, I may not be ready. That's a problem.
I'm not arguing that, and yet the game was close at the end, and partly it was because of Embiid's defensive presence in the first half. Look, Embiid, because of the back and the knee and everything else, has never been a great second half of games player, particularly in the playoffs. It seems like he can't practice himself into that kind of game shape. I think that's part of the problem. But in the first half, that block on Ibaka, you couldn't keep your eyes off Embiid before the block. You could see it unfold. Ball faked off his feet. The whole thing stayed with it. Block. His defensive presence has been a big advantage for the Sixers. The series is not at 2-2. Yeah. Ben Simmons was an all-star. Tobias Harris, all-star. These are all-star caliber players. Where are they? You can't say, where is Embiid? He's had bad games. He's done things you don't love. But you can say they won a game because of Embiid. Can they get that from Simmons?
You can say that. You can ask that question about Tobias Harris. You can't ask basket about Ben Simmons because we know what happened to Ben Simmons. Brett Brown has taken him and given his responsibilities to Jimmy Butler. That's what has happened to Ben Simmons.
Listen, Simmons is an excellent defender. Simmons is an excellent defender. Can you do something on Kawhi?
I'm not, but Max, you know what Ben Simmons' strength is? Is that he has to have the ball in his hands to be effective. That's the only way he's going to be effective on the court.
They put him in the dunker spot. He could do a little something.
You take the ball, I agree with you, but you take the ball out of his hands, like he doesn't have the ability to get you that many assists.
Can he defend Kawhi?
He can try, but who over here said that Ben Simmons is a great defender?
I think he's an excellent defender.
You think Ben Simmons is a great defender?
I think he's an excellent defender. Great? I don't know. Is he Kawhi level great? No. But Ben Simmons, you can't do much better than Simmons usually. You have a guy like Kawhi. You want to put a guy like Simmons on him. Do something.
He's not guarding Kyle Lowry. He's guarding Kawhi Leonard, who you've acknowledged has done it to everybody.
What I'm
so
saying,
if he's done it to everybody, why would you expect him not to do it to Ben Simmons?
I agree. Iguodala and Kawhi both got Finals MVPs defending LeBron. Defending LeBron.
You want to bring? So now you want to bring up? Now you want to bring up Iguodala, who you ignored all year long when you brought up CP3.
Hold up. You can't
stop
him
all year long.
Kawhi, but you can do a better job than other guys. 5 for 7 when Simmons is on him.
But it's the way their whole team plays defense.
Max want to talk. Max don't want to listen. Max don't want to listen.
I went into the depths outside. I am a basketball junkie. I watch this every damn day of my life, all different levels. I cannot tell you how many times I saw them a lot. They ran PNR every single time. Nick Nurse ran that for Joel Embiid. That last dagger he made on Joel Embiid because Joel came out with his hands down. I've also seen Ben get stuck. I also see Ben get stuck. They don't defend at the level they should.
I'm not saying that Embiid made mental errors, right? Because Kawhi was dribbling out of double teams, turning the ball over. That's why he had so many turnovers. Embiid should have closed out on him. Don't worry if he gets around you. I agree he made mental errors. He missed free throws. I'm saying he's also made positive contributions. Where is Ben Simmons? Got to show up.